Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Healed and Chilled. And today we have yet another awesome and amazing, wonderful special guest. And you already know how I like to do it here. I like for the guest to have control of the narrative. So, if you would, in your own words, from your own point of view, can you please introduce yourself and we'll dive right into the interview?
All right. Well, first of all, I am so honored to be here. I love the title of your show. My name is Queen D. Michele. I am a light worker, a weight
Mm,
show, a frequency code holder, and a
mm,
new earth representative. I am also a retired elementary and middle school teacher, an author,
mm.
and a blogger. So I guess, lots to talk about. Wherever you want me to just dive in, jump in, I'll do just that.
Yeah, so I would like to get a better understanding of how you started out, how you ended up working in the school system, and then how you ended up now in Mexico and on your journey of helping uplift and inspire others to, lead and grow and do light-filled work as well.
You know what? That's right. I didn't mention that I am located in Mexico. Okay, so I'll start with how did that happen, right? How did you
Yeah.
wind up in Mexico? Retired elementary school teacher. 27 years. I've taught across the country, born and
Hmm.
raised in Detroit, Michigan. What up, though? Um, I also taught in Nevada, Las Vegas, and I taught in Georgia, Atlanta. Actually, Atlanta is where I retired from. And this was what,
Okay.
10 years ago. I retired after 27
Hmm.
years of teaching. I retired in Atlanta and I took a look at my pension when I first got it. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
wow, okay, that'll pay the rent. So, I got
Mm.
busy, supplementing the pension,
Hmm.
and it was cool in the beginning. That first year, after being regulated by bells for 27, a bell to start the day, a bell to eat lunch, a bell to end the day. So it's kind of cool to get out there. I was an Uber driver, Uber and Lyft driver. I did some online
Hmm.
teaching, for China. I did some remote curriculum work. One of
Mm.
my coolest jobs was I drove a shuttle for a transportation company that serviced the railroad. So I was
Oh,
taking
wow.
conductors and engineers to and from their trains. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
So
yeah.
here I
Pretty
am a
cool.
whole year into this, and then all of a sudden I tell you, I say, hey, wait a minute. I'm gonna always have to do this.
Mm,
I'm gonna always have to supplement my pension, you see.
mm,
And I didn't want to be 70 years old saying, welcome to Walmart. You know,
mm,
uh, I was out there, in the streets hustling, and I saw them. They're at airports, they're in retail, they're at Walmart, and they're Ubering. And baby, we're not out there. We weren't out there because we want to be. We're out there because we have to be,
mm,
you see.
mm,
And I just didn't want to work just to
mm.
supplement my pension until I couldn't work anymore, due to age and just the breakdown of the body, you know. Um, and here's the thing about that. I could have stayed on that wheel very easily, just
Mhm,
caught up, if you will, in the matrix. But I would only be working to pay bills. See, there would be
mm,
no weekend getaways. There would be no fine
mm,
dining or any concerts. I would work, pay bills, work, pay bills until I couldn't work anymore. And then I would live substandardly because I wasn't working.
mm,
And I felt like I didn't owe anyone or anything my life, you know?
mm,
And I started researching top 10 places to retire. And back in 2015, because that's when it was Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Ecuador, Thailand, Nicaragua, places like that. So I did my research.
mhm.
I am an avid researcher, a deep diver, if you will. And
Period.
Mexico checked all the boxes for me. And I'll tell you why. Mexico has
Mm,
32 states. I lived in the state of Jalisco. Starts with a J, but you hear that H, Spanish.
mhm, mhm,
And Jalisco houses the largest freshwater lake in the country of Mexico. That
Wow.
lake is called Lake Chapala. Now, surrounding that lake are little towns and villages, but on the north shore of that lake is the largest expat community in the country of Mexico. Now, when I say expat, I'm saying what's short for expatriates. That's what they call people who are actually citizens of one country but reside in another. They call them
Hmm.
expatriates, but expats for short. So here's the largest expat community. And since I was living in Atlanta, it was only a 3.5 hour nonstop plane ride from Atlanta to Guadalajara, which is the
Mm.
capital of Jalisco. Fly in to Guadalajara, and then it's like a 30-minute drive into town, right? So, of course, I did
Mm.
this really deep, deep dive research and close to a year. And I landed very softly
Mm.
in the Lake Chapala area, call it Lakeside. One, location that checked that box.
Mm.
Two, climate. The Lake Chapala region
Oof.
is voted second best climate in the world.
Ooh.
And that's because it's
What?
eternally spring. Now, it's a wet spring and a
Wow.
dry spring, but spring nonetheless. And that third
Mm.
box was that large expat community. It made for a really soft landing. I mean, we're walking
Mm.
around that North Shore smiling and winking at one another. Americans and Canadians who, just figured it out, you know? It's like
Mm.
we paradise, right? Because I want you to understand
Wow.
this. My pension the year I retired was $1,100 a month. Man, that was my rent
Mm.
in Atlanta. You feel me? So,
Yeah.
uh, but there I could live on that $1,100 comfortably. I had a beautiful one bed, one bath condo, gated community, 28
Mm.
units with a swimming pool and a laundry room and a fire
What?
and a mirror door that overlooked the lake. I mean, listen, $500 a month. And see, but that only left me
Wow.
six, right? But check this out.
Mm.
My electric bill was every other month. It was $12. My gas
What?
bill every month was what? $10. And
What?
my cable, uh, $20. My cell phone bill,
What?
$15. Um, so I was living comfortably, but on that $1,100 pension. Whereas had I stayed in the States, I'm out working, hustling, supplementing that $1,100. But now I am
Mm-hmm.
completely retired, living in paradise, and got a chance
Mm.
go
Mm.
inward. See, now there's no distractions. Now it's no distraction. So it's like, hey, what's up, Queen? And I started
Mm.
hiking, um,
Mm.
meditating. It's the beauty of the lake
Yes.
in the green of the mountains that I hiked in. And then there came
Mm.
yoga, and it came actually just to be a spiritual awakening. You know,
Mm.
I awakened
Yes.
there, separated from my ego, my crown
Mm.
chakra blew wide open, and hey,
Mm.
then came the brand considerations of the soul. Then came the books.
Mm.
The very first book
Yes.
was Considerations, a guide for moving abroad. Okay, that was the
Mm.
first thing that came out of me. Very easy to write. 10 chapters. Each chapter is a consideration. I mean, consider visas, consider finances,
Mm.
consider downsizing, consider
Mm.
health, you know, and just a really easy read. And when I got to Lakeside, it was a handful of us. You can count them on the hand. But since then, there's especially middle-aged Black women, it has really kind of
Mm.
blown up. And I like to think that I was a part of that because I showed them,
Mm.
hey, it could be done. See, because with for for
Yes.
the longest, as I prepared to leave out the country, I got from friends and family. You what? You gonna out the cut? Move with the drugs and the
Mm-hmm.
cocktails and
Yeah, it's scary
you
out there.
what? you know,
Yep.
and that's all by design. That's all by
Yep.
design, you know,
Mm.
being able to step outside, being able to escape, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
the matrix. You get a chance to truly disconnect from that conditioning and that programming, that
Mm.
ego, you know. And ego has a purpose, but you know, it has a general purpose, but it's not the general. But as long as
Mm.
you're in that matrix, it tends to be what drives. You know, you're driven by your ego, you know, and
Mm.
not that soul self. And when I met my soul self, when I had that spiritual awakening, like I said, the books came, the brand came. Let me tell you, I lived there in the Lake Chapala area for 4 years.
Mm.
And right after I, you know, that fourth year, I was getting ready to have a 8-month workshop. It's going to be called The Soul's Journey. And I was
Mm.
bringing all the gurus from Lakeside, the guru in meditation, the guru in movement, the guru in art. And then it was going to be based on my books because I wrote A New Earth. You heard me say in the beginning, I'm a New Earth
Mm.
representative. Uh, and so I
Mm-hmm.
wrote a book called Traveling Home Together. And this is basically a guidebook uh, for living New Earth. And then another book I
Mm.
wrote was called 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now. And all that workshop was going to be based on those books. And then, like I said, the other gurus, I had the space, I gave a presentation, people signed up,
Mm.
and then I got the call from back home in Detroit. uh, Mom and Pop 99 with dementia, mom
Mm.
in her mid 80s with her own set. They had both left the house via ambulance within a week of each other. When I
Oh
got
man.
Yeah, when I got there, they were both in rehabilitation center. He was on one end of the hallway and she was on the other. And here's the thing, I was given the impression that everything was cool back home. I have two older brothers, Dumb and Dumber, and I
Mm.
kind of, you know, was given the impression that everything was cool. I'm the only girl and the youngest. So when I got there and I saw the situation, I realized
Ah.
that when they came out of the rehab center, there was no one to take care of them. Bottom line, I became my parents' full-time caregiver and spent the next three
Mm.
and a half years and 4 winters, 4 consecutive
Mm.
winters, back in my hometown of Detroit. Mom and Pop passed in
Mm.
2022, within 10 months of each other. Pop in
Mm.
February and Mom on New Year's Eve. Uh, of
Wow.
2022. Now, I stayed on because some projects, I tell you, the universe is perfect. So
Mm.
remember, I was getting ready to start this 8-month workshop, you know, based on my book, you know, my books. But when I came back home to Detroit, I just set that to the side. I mean, you know, that
Right.
yeah, that's over. And I got busy, you know, being a full-time caregiver. However, my niece, she had a birthday. She had a birthday, and I looked at 52 Insights for Living New Earth, and I said, you know, that'd be nice for her. So I gave her the book and a bottle of wine and a candle. You know, here you go, niece, happy birthday. And she
Mm.
thumbed through the book, and she was like, "Oh, auntie," she said, "this would be great for high school."
Mm.
And I kind of thought, I said, yeah. I mean, it's just sitting there, you know, and I mean, this book is gold, right? It's just sitting there. I said,
Period.
that's not bad. That's not a bad idea. I talked to another relative who's a retired administrator and teacher, and she said, oh, no. She said, that would be perfect for
Mm.
middle school. And then I'm telling you,
Mm.
something just blew up inside of me. Something activated inside of me. The
Mm.
resonance of that statement, I can't even describe it. And I thought to
Mm.
myself, well, who is middle school at this age? I mean, by then I'm retired quite some time and really removed. I said,
Mm.
who is middle school? So there I go. There's that deep dive. There's that research. And I discovered who middle school is. Um, and middle school right now is Generation Alpha. Let's talk about generation. Who is Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha was born between 2010 and 2024. The oldest of that generation just turned 13 last year.
Time
They are the
flies.
children of the millennials and some of the X's that got in there a little late, right? They are the first generation to be born fully in the 21st
Mm-hmm.
century. That means they have been clicking and swiping since infancy. They are in platforms and in spaces free of parental influence. They are in spaces and in platforms that their parents don't even understand. They will be the
Yep.
largest generation in the history of the world, and they are responsible for the conscious evolution of humanity. I mean, just check out the name Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Generation Alpha. They are a different breed.
Yep.
And from that understanding and from that research and through being aligned with the universe, being that light worker, that
Mm-hmm.
way shower, that frequency code holder, and New Earth representative, 52 insights for living New Earth now became 52 insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious.
Mm.
You see,
Oh, I love that.
that
Yeah.
book was never meant for the audience I
Mm.
thought it was meant for. And had I
Mm.
known that, I probably would have messed it up in some way. So it's so pure and what and rich and impactful in
Mm.
what it has to offer Generation Alpha. See, because being that they have only been taught uh, through external stimuli, there has been no balance of the
Yep.
internal. So, therefore, they lack the social and emotional intelligence that's necessary. They don't have the tools that's necessary to navigate their world. See, we're not going, but no, you're going. But the older, we're not going, but they are. And they need the tools of mindfulness to navigate. We didn't need those tools, in such a way, but it is absolutely imperative that they have the tools the necessary to navigate their world, where they're going and where they are actually right now. The curriculum focuses on self-awareness through activities that foster mindfulness, self
Mm.
management, relationship skills, social awareness, and conscious decision making. So it's
Mm.
coming in and coming up and under the guise of social and emotional learning.
Mm.
That's already a framework, you know, in schools,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a conscious framework. It's
Nope.
about good character, being a good person and sharing and caring and that. No, my curriculum leads them inward
Mm.
so that they'll have the tools necessary to navigate that external world. Now,
Right.
I want to stop there because it's about introducing them. That self awareness is understanding and separating or knowing your soul self
Mm.
versus the ego, this ego driven. And if you don't mind, I wanted to read just a small paragraph out of Traveling Home Together that kind of breaks it down. All right,
Mm-hmm.
here we go. There was one voice within when you were first born into this world. It had your undivided attention. As you grew into your humanness, a new voice was introduced through your senses. What you saw, heard, tasted, felt, and smelled drew you more and more into the physical world. And you lost touch with that non physical connection that your flesh now clothed. You also lost touch with the essence of who you really are as the world took over and the still small voice became smaller. The new
Mm.
stronger voice that grew within and pretty much took over was that of your ego. Through programming and conditioning, the ego grew stronger and began running things internally. You attached and identified with the stories you were being told about yourself. Those attachments became your belief systems, which determine how you perceived yourself and the world around you. Those perceptions have become the realities in which you have lived for many years. The true essence of you is just as present within as the ego. However, it can remain unheard. Okay,
Mm.
so what the curriculum does is send them on an internal journey. Very,
Mm.
uh, 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 they call it like a learning path, but
Yeah.
this learning path is actually a journey. Now, see, I piloted this, bro. I'm still in Detroit, right? Having taken those 52 insights. And where did those insights come from? Uh, for a complete year straight, every Thursday, I put out an original quote across my platforms. Remember, I had the brand, and I had the YouTube channel, and Facebook, Instagram. I put out this quote every Thursday for a complete year. Now, the quote either came from my blogs, my books, just straight up meditation. You know, I
Hmm.
put out a quote, and I brought those 52 quotes together in one presentation. Hence, we have 52 insights for living New Earth now in the beginning.
Mm.
Now, what I did as it related to a curriculum is I made a lesson plan out of each quote, sending them deeper, taking them into a deeper dive into my videos, into my blogs, and
Hmm.
and we with activities and practices that again given them tools that help them to navigate their world, because once you reach that bandwidth or that frequency, if you will, of New Earth, because that's exactly what New Earth is. It's not a place, it's a state
Mm.
of consciousness. And you reach that state of consciousness through a frequency, for we are energy. All right, that's what we are.
Hmm.
We are energetic beings,
Hmm.
conscious energy, if you will. So once you reach that bandwidth of New Earth, which in some people call the fifth dimension, because there's the third and the fourth and the fifth dimension, right? All these things
Hmm.
explained in books and in my books and what have you. Um, you need to maintain that frequency
Hmm.
in order to have residence, or to reside in that newer state of consciousness. So there are practices and exercises that one must continue to do. I mean, yeah, you get there, but how you maintain that,
Right.
especially when you are in uh the realm of 3D, you're especially, within the matrix. How do you maintain that bandwidth, that state of consciousness, although you are
Hmm.
physically in that realm, but your
Yeah.
state of consciousness, you're literally living in another dimension,
Correct.
your state of being. So, um, that's what the uh, curriculum does. It gives them the tools and the exercises to alone, for so there's a quote every week. This 52
Hmm.
weeks, that's a year. So this is really a program, you know.
Yeah.
This is a program that sends uh Generation Alpha on an internal journey because they already got the
Mhm.
external on lock, right? But let's go ahead and balance that, and let's get that social and emotional intelligence on lock as well, with the tools to navigate
Mhm.
uh, their work. So anyway, I did pilot this in two middle schools in Detroit just last year. Um,
Mhm.
and boy, did I learn a lot. Here's the first thing that I learned. First of all, it was really hard just even getting into school, with
Yeah.
this type of, mentality. I was going to school board meetings and what have you. And I was getting shut down left and right. But the universe is perfect. And here's the thing, all this work has not been done, you know, just to be shut down. This is for them, and the universe will bring all the cooperating components together so that
Mm-hmm.
they have what they need. That's my purpose.
What they
You feel
need.
me? That's why
Yeah.
I said light worker way. That's my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I piloted it, and here's one of the main things I learned: unconscious can't teach consciousness. Unconscious can't teach consciousness. And that's what I saw immediately gathered when I put this curriculum in the teacher's hands. I got them
Oh
trained
yeah.
and what have you, um, before school started. And I get it. Math, English, social studies. I got a grade level. To teach it. I had tried to tell. Matter of fact, they didn't even know who Generation Alpha was. They don't even know who they teach. You don't even know that this is a different breed. This is a different breed altogether. So, and they're coming at them with, it's just not working. All the teachers do all day long, put out fires all day long, put out fires, put
Mm.
out fires. So how can they take them on a journey that they haven't been on themselves? You feel me? When
Right.
when when they don't know how to breathe, when they don't
Right.
meditate, when they do, so and me saying this will work. They putting out fires. They don't have, they just trying to keep up. Administration is coming down on them. Parents, they're doing their thing. Generation Alpha is doing their thing, being who they are. So, and the only teachers I saw who really tried to just maybe try to incorporate it was like the art teacher, the
Yeah.
music teacher. You feel me? They would content. There's no way. But this is what I learned too. When I went to school, we had classes like home economics and auto mechanics and carpentry, those things that kind of got
Mm.
us typing, kind of got us ready for the world in which we were going to, you
Mm.
know, in can and what I realized, this needs to be a class that they go to with somebody who's already been on the journey. See, the auto mechanic teacher could teach auto mechanics because he knew, right? English teacher didn't
Right.
teach auto mechanics, right? So it needs to be that kind of class so that one has already been on that journey, can go ahead and lead, guide, and direct them on their journey. And it's so diverse because what'll happen is, there's a test, uh, a Myers
Myers
Briggs.
Briggs.
Yeah, see,
Mm.
that's given in the beginning, and then learning paths, journeys, will then
Mm.
given, and because they're all diverse in their social and
Yeah.
emotional way of being, just based on, the family, and in the community in which they live.
Mm-hmm.
So we get them there, and then they take their own unique SEL journey, for a year. But this is a class they go to, and they're gathering these tools as they continue to have to be
Mm.
out, in the
In the
other class.
world.
And just think about how those things that they're learning, they're going to take it home too. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to take it home because I know that once giving these insights in these practices and these exercises, it's for them. It will
Mm-hmm.
activate codes that's already in them to begin navigating their world. Again, they're responsible for the conscious evolution of humanity. Let's
Mm-hmm.
start putting those tools in their hands so they can do the work, you know, um, for again, where they're going. The second thing I learned that was really important is that uh, I need to, in its state right now, in its state, it is not marketable or consumable for its target audience. I am currently taking a class out of the University of San Diego, and I am learning how to integrate AI into the
Mm.
curriculum. All right. And wow, with this, that powerful tool. Uh, I will at the beginning of it's a 12-week course. I'm learning so much. The content is already there. It's rich, it's impactful. It's
Mm.
just integrating AI into the curriculum. Now we're ready. So I'm looking at towards the beginning of the year,
Mm.
after I finish the course, uh, towards the at least the first quarter of the year, I'm looking to I envision ed tech companies bidding for this
Mm.
curriculum, bidding for it, in such a way, and it getting out there as it should. The work has been done. It's been piloted. um
Right.
it's an SEL framework program, uh and I just know that I know that this was what I was this is what it was supposed to be all along. Just imagine had I stayed on that wheel,
Mm.
you know, working, working, to supplement the
Yeah.
pension. No nothing.
Yeah.
No that working, pay bills. Working, pay bills. But having got out uh in that way,
Mm.
I am fulfilling my purpose here, and I'm lit up just talking about it. Um, I want to read to you the first quote out of uh
Okay.
the book. Uh, and it simply says, the matrix cares not of the quality and purpose of your life here, but only of the quantity and how much you can give over to the system. You owe no one or no thing your life.
Mm.
That's the first quote. 52 and deeper dives
Mm.
uh into those quotes. I am now back in Mexico. I'm not lakeside anymore. I have now moved to the state of Chiapas, and I'm living in a lovely
Oh.
town called San Cristobal de las Casas. And I'm again, like I said, in school, integrating AI,
Mhm.
enjoying being back in a space that uh, is light,
Mm.
not dense. The energy
Yeah.
in the United States is very dense, very heavy, energy, and just fulfilling my purpose.
Mm.
That's it,
Mm.
and that's
Wow.
all.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I feel like we got of what you're all about and what you're doing out here in this world. And as someone else who also works with children, in the way of a children's confidence coach outside of like the 9 to 5 aspect. So I do
Mm,
work with children on my for just because I know that it's something I'm here to do as well. So
uh-huh,
I think
mhm,
it's very important the work that you're doing, and I'm like, well, I gotta like look into your book myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I too am here with the full understanding that, well, in my opinion, there is a war on innocence, specifically with children, because there's so much media, there's so much content, there's so much of an effort to pollute this generation. There's
yes,
so much of an effort
yes,
to put nasty
yes,
stuff into their minds and just do weird stuff. And
yes.
so I had this one mentor, so to speak, and she's since passed as well. But she said
Oh,
that basically, like, if you if you dislike something enough to like, and you're the one who's asking me how you can fix it, like, or you, because I used to tell her like, this is the problem going on, that this thing, so can you fix it, please? And she would always tell me, oh no, this is how you fix it. I'm like, why do you keep telling me to fix it? I'm bringing it to you. Like, what's happening? And I'm still in school at this point. And so she said,
mhm,
well, Yana, because you're the only one here. You're the only one out of that group that is
mhm,
here
mhm,
asking me to fix it, like what to do.
mhm,
So that means
mhm,
you're supposed to fix it. And so
mhm.
I took that a
Yep,
step further, and like, whatever you hate about this world, you have the capacity to fix, or you have the capacity
absolutely,
to impact in some way. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I'm all for. everything that you're doing, especially with the children, because it's so important.
It is.
It's like it's there's not too much development that they can do on their insides, especially that's even go ahead.
Perfect. Perfectly said. There's not too much work that they can do on the inside. That's absolutely. Oh, I couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. And stop asking them, what do they want to be when they grow up?
Right,
Ask them, what problem do they want to solve when they
right,
grow up? You know? And so
right.
that's what your mentor was saying. I'm not asking you what you want to be. What problem do you want to solve?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so here we
Profound.
are, and so I just salute you for the work that you're doing. I definitely am like, well, I gotta, because you were saying it, because for those who because this is recorded audio, like for me to hear, probably have to close my eyes. So I definitely was hearing what you were saying in your books and things, and really took the
Hmm.
time to fully absorb it. And I
Hmm.
could, it just was like, oh, so soothing and things. So I definitely appreciate that.
Well,
We
my grandson is Generation Alpha. He's 7 years old. And I'm hoping that
oh
one day that he, when he hits, middle school, because it's pretty much at that, level of reasoning. But here's the thing, something like this can also be modified. Let's take it
hmm
down all the way to kinder. So they're all being led internally, starting at kinder. This all that has to be is modified. It's a program that
right.
can be modified for the younger ones as well. I just happen to be, my skill set is that of, like I said, I never thought this was for the audience that I intended it for. But I'm over the moon excited for Gen Alpha, and that
Yeah,
I get to play in the field with them.
absolutely. And I would love to sit and listen to you for hours and hours, honestly. So,
Stop.
but unfortunately, we cannot do that. We are coming up on the
Yeah.
tail end. I do have three cliche questions that I ask everyone.
All right.
However, before that, is there anything, and we can always do a round two at the end of the day, but is there
Okay.
anything that you wanted to highlight that you didn't get the chance to already?
Just one other thing, and
Mhm.
this is probably a whole nother show. But um, my work, of course, can be found on my nonprofit website. Now, this
Mhm.
nonprofit came together when I took a trip to Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. Uh,
Ooh.
and I took that trip there because I discovered through African ancestry that on my maternal side that of I am from Guinea-Bissau, West Africa, and of the Fula or Fulani tribe
Mm.
of
Oh,
Guinea-Bissau,
wow.
West Africa,
Okay.
because that's what happens with African ancestry. See, if you were to take the ancestry test, just ancestry.com, they'll tell you you're a little bit of this and you're a little bit of that, and your region is over there. But over 20 years ago, a group of Black scientists got together and they created the largest
Mm.
database of Black blood in the world. It's called African ancestry. Now, you take that DNA test, whether it's maternal
Mm.
or paternal, you take that DNA test, not only will they tell you what country that your original bloodline is in out of the 54 sovereign countries on the continent of Africa. And more than likely, it's going to go on that, more than likely, it's on that western coast.
Mm.
Of course, we know that's where the Atlantic slave trade took place. But anywhere along that line, not so much north or south or east, but that western coast on the continent of Africa, not only will they tell you what country, they'll also tell you your tribe.
Oh, wow.
And as I discovered on my maternal, that I am Fula from Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. So my
Mm.
website, I came back home after that trip, and I founded the uh, Fula History and Genealogy Society in America.
Mm,
The website is Fula, Fula, American.org. FulaAmerican.org. Now, if one was to go there, there's a tab that says 52 Insights. Kind of gives them a little bit more
mm,
information about 52 Insights. Plus, there's a tab for all my publications, the books that I've written. And then there's a tab for, get this, my soul's journey home. And it
mm,
documents, it's 16 chapters. It's a blog, 16 chapters that document my trip to Africa. And while I was there, I did visit Egypt. And
oh, wow.
so you get pictures and videos and just the whole story of that trip that changed the trajectory of my life in a very
Mm,
specific way. And generational trauma is
mm.
a whole nother, again, like I said, a whole nother show. So yeah, um, if that was one thing I wanted to say that I didn't get to say, I do invite your listeners to check out FulaAmerican.org.
Yes, I'm glad that you did share that because most of the things you just said could have it's multiple episodes, specifically even generational trauma, because that's a lot with that. Don't get me
Yes,
started right now, please.
yes.
But um, so yeah, so okay, so thank you for that though, and then just in general, thank you for sharing the space. And before I give you my three cliche questions, I'm gonna give you a signature round of applause for
Thank you.
authenticity. Yes, vulnerability, and just really being honest and real about your story, your life, and then choosing to uplift the next rather than hoarding all your wisdom and gems to yourself. So that's much appreciated. All right. So the first cliche question is, if so, is there one piece of advice that you wish you would have known when you were like younger and in a darker period of time that would have helped you so much?
Mm. Advice. Ah. That's an excellent question.
Oh,
Man,
thanks.
okay. So you're saying the advice that I wish I would have been given.
Yeah. Like
Ah,
one singular piece of advice when you were in a darker space that you wish you would have known.
I wish I would have known that I was enough.
Mm,
I wish I would have known that I was enough,
mm,
you know, but and guided inward, you know, because that's where you find that out. That's where you
yeah.
find that out. You know, any and
Mm,
everything you ever wanted to know about anything, it's on the inside. You know, I
mm.
wish I would have been guided inward, you know, a lot sooner. But hey, I was born and raised Baptist, baby. Seriously, Baptist bred, Baptist dead. But anyway, yeah, that I was enough.
Yeah. I think that excuse me, guys. I think that that is something that everybody can seek to learn. And it's good that people like yourself, like myself, and others, we're choosing to help the next generation learn
Hmm.
that before they have so many scabs. And one thing that I try to tell is not so much anymore just because of who I'm around, but there was a time where I was around people who would say, oh, well, this thing happened to me when I was younger and look at how I turned out. And I just be wondering. And now I'm not around them, but now I would say, and I do say in my different conversations, like virtually, it's like, but if you would have had someone who would have protected you from it, like, where would you be right now? If you would have had someone who you knew would protect you no matter what and would have your back and listen to you and comfort you,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
probably wouldn't be saying it happened to me, so I'll let it happen to somebody else. You might have had a
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
perspective. So I salute you for
Excellent point.
choosing to share what you know rather than hoarding it and keeping it to yourself. The
Mm.
second cliche question that I ask everyone, and you're really tuned in and tapped in, so you'll appreciate this one, I think.
Okay.
The internet works mysteriously, just like the universe. So, is there any
Mm.
person, place or organization that you would really like to work with if this did come across their desk?
An organization.
Yeah.
Yes. It would be. It would actually be African ancestry. I would love
Mm.
to work with that organization as it relates to generational trauma because we all
Mm.
walk around with and we're so unaware, and I always say that every family needs that one son or daughter that speaks their mind, doesn't
Mm.
like being told what to do, and is low key healing the generational trauma that no one seems to be aware of. See, because if
Yes.
trauma can be passed down through DNA, which it is, if trauma can be passed down through DNA, then healing can be passed up.
Mm. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And to your point, a lot of things that I've learned in life lately has been from the students that I teach for my clubs because their
Wow,
ideas are so like even the animated
man.
series, it came from them. So I agree. You can learn a lot from children. And then something else that's, some people might not understand what I'm about to say, but it's
What?
real. There's a lot of times that I notice that like the children will speak about things that are happening in my life and they won't even know. Like or like we're
Wow.
connected. Yeah, like one time we were playing because everything I do is virtual. So we were playing like a some like drawing game or whatever. And when
Hmm.
we revealed it, we both had a green outfit. Like it's like very weird stuff. Or like on my birthday, I
Wow.
taught a class. I didn't tell any of them it was my birthday. Never someone randomly mentioned, "Did you know my birthday?" Like stuff like that where like it'll happen in my life and then the children will bring it up and it happens all the time and I'm just like
That is
out of the
amazing.
mouth of babes. Yeah, it's
Absolutely. That
so
is so true.
I totally understand what you're saying and the full mission that you're on, and I definitely support it and am doing my part on this side
I
to
can tell.
assist
I
in that.
can tell. So round of applause to you,
Oh,
dear
thank
one.
you.
Round of applause to you.
Thank you. All right. And then the final question from me, at least, is well, for today anyway, is granted, you already kind of touched on this already, but and I will put your links in the description, of course. But
Oh, thank you.
so multiple parts. If someone wants to contact you, what's the best way to do that? If someone wants to purchase a book, what's the best way to do that? And then if someone wants to just keep up to date and know what's going on so that when your curriculums are done, they can hop on like what's the
Oh,
best way to do
yes.
that?
Yes, 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 yes. I tell you, it's very simple. I'm so glad I've been able to really kind of just condense everything into that one website. It's up under
Mm,
that umbrella of fulaamerican.org,
mm,
right there.
mhm.
They go there, they'll see the links to the Facebook, the Instagram, they'll see the publications, they'll know what's going on with 52 Insights, and what's going on with the nonprofit. That's home.
Awesome.
That's the watering hole.
All right. And
fulaamerican.org.
awesome. And then they can like email you and contact through
Yes,
there as well.
yes,
Okay, perfect.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. And then one more thing, just because I know how things are sometimes, it's like, oh, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have mentioned that. Is there anything that you suddenly thought, oh, I wish I would have spoke on this?
Um, God, I seem to have, I think I have pretty much covered everything, but I just want to say this. Ego. Ego is pretty much what's driving you if you're not aligned with that, with your soul self. And the main question is how, if I can leave any suggestion for your audience, I would suggest to them consider doing a self-guided meditation because that's how you
Mm,
will actually meet yourself. And no one can just sit down and start meditating. Who can do that? With the all the distractions and the programming and the conditioning. It's real hard to just sit down and go inside.
Yeah.
So you have to be guided inside. And your soul self is what they call it. I say soul self, higher self, spirit, whatever you want to call it. Your counsel is waiting for you. Your
Mm,
ancestors are waiting for you on the inside.
mm,
And you just can't go in. Be guided in first. And once and you do that through guided meditation, and you can find apps on YouTube. Find those, and you'll see the title that resonates with you, because your soul self gonna scream out that one, that
mm-hmm.
one, you know, help guide you inward. And when it finally happens, your soul self will say, you know what? I got her from here. I got him from
Mm,
here. You know, thanks for guiding them in. You have to be guided in. And your soul self will take over from that. So I do suggest it's through meditation that you'll be able to start putting ego where it belongs. And that's in the
mm,
back, serving its general purpose, but it's not the general. Meet your
mm,
soul self, meet your higher self,
yes.
and try that through guided meditation first.
Mm, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Yes. And then
it.
this is the part where I switch it up a little bit. And just quickly, is there anything that you're curious to ask me? Or do you have any questions about anything that you want to ask me?
um, I want to ask you, do you meditate?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Okay.
do. And I was actually thinking I wanted to tell this story, but then I was like, I don't really have time. But since you asked, I'm gonna tell it.
Okay, go ahead. I want to
So
hear it.
I actually also make like meditations for children and things as well, just to try to help their minds. And this one time, I haven't done it in this spot since. I was sitting in the backyard, mind you,
Uh-huh.
that it's like a gate, like it's a backyard. And so
Okay.
I'm like sitting in the backyard, I'm making the meditation or whatever. And I finished it. I felt something looking at me, and I was like, sometimes, neighbors are nosy, whatever.
Well, okay, of course, of course. You felt
But
it.
I turn around and there's a big white dog looking at me. And so I'm looking at it, and it's like one of those fluffy husky. And I've never seen this dog. I know the neighborhood dog. Mind you, this has never happened before. I was in such a peaceful place. So I'm looking at it. It's looking at me, and it's this great big white dog. And so I'm just like, because I'm like, okay, you can't be bad if you came after I finished meditating, but
Okay.
like you're also a wild, like a dog with like what's happening, and it's a big dog. So I went to try to get it some water. It didn't want any water. By the time I tried to find something for it to eat, it was kind of leaving. And then in the driveway, there was a big black dog, the same kind of dog
Get
as the white
out of
one. I'm
here.
so serious.
What?
And so then they were both, the white dog left out of the yard because I guess the door was open. They're both just standing in the driveway, and we're looking at each other. And I'm just looking at them. Then they kind of like did a little nod. They walked up the street. I never seen them since. Haven't seen them since. So
Wow. They nodded.
yeah.
They nodded. Isn't that so?
Yes.
We're
I
all
was
connected. We are all connected. All and you know what? And you were still at peace, looking at the white dog, looking at the
hmm
black dog. There was peace
yeah.
there. There was confirmation, possibly affirmation that yeah, you're on the right path. Continue doing what you're doing. Yeah, and I
Mm,
would suggest that to you. You stay there. You keep doing what you're doing.
wow.
Absolutely.
I received that because in full transparency, I have not sat there since because I was a little freaked out by
Oh wow. Now you
it.
keep doing what
But
you're doing.
you're right.
That is something. That was confirmation. We are all connected. We are all connected. Every nature, animals, all of it. You know?
Mm, you're right, though. You're right. Did you have any other questions for me or anything you're curious about?
I am good. No more
All
questions.
right.
I have thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed myself this afternoon.
Oh, yes, me too. The feeling is definitely, definitely mutual. Of course, you're always welcome back. Like once things are finished, or you're like, oh, I want to talk about this or that. It's definitely open.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, this was definitely a pleasure. I know that the audience and the listeners are definitely going to take some gems of wisdom from you
I
and
hope so.
also support along your journey. So I'm just sending you so much positive energy, prosperity, all the good things. And I look forward for when our paths cross again.
All right. All right. One light, one love.
Oh, all right now. See you guys next time.